We have a guest in the studio. His name is Odoyo Owidi. He is a politician, as he'll tell us. He's a former chairman of the Lake Basin Development Authority. We welcome him, though we welcome all our guests in the studio. City, the proverb.
Our proverb for the whole of this week are from the country of Zambia. Okay, the country that is at the crossroads of Central, Southern, and Eastern Africa, right in the middle. Jump over a log, but do not over your neighbor's word.
Jump over a log.
Yes.
But do not
jump
over a neighbor's word.
No.
Wow. Odoyo Owidi, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
And the hot seat of the situation.
My first time here. Let me see.
This is it. That's the hot seat, what you're occupying. But make yourself comfortable. You're a politician. You're used to the heat.
Thank you.
Yeah. This proverb is from Zambia. You've heard it.
I've heard it.
Jump over a log.
By all means, jump over a log.
But do not jump over your neighbor's word. What does that mean to you?
A long time ago, a friend of mine was driving ahead of me home. Somebody came out of the bush and struggled to stop him. He refused. Kumbe, a tree was being cut. He ignored the word of that man, went and the tree fell on the car and we had a funeral. Wow. So I think it's just right, do not ignore your neighbor's word. It could be a warning, a well-deserved warning that would save your life.
Do not ignore.
Do not ignore.
You can ignore a log and jump over it. But do not ignore a neighbor's word.
No.
Heed the neighbor's counsel.
Absolutely.
It's a good way of looking at it. Very good way of looking at it. Although you describe yourself as a politician, what does that mean? What's a politician?
What does it mean? I think I need to talk about what it means to me. Yes. Within the society in which we live, politics controls basically everything. And there are many types of politics depending on who you are and who you choose to be. When we play politics, we want to determine and control our lives and the lives of people who depend on us and the people we love. Kenya in particular, politics determines so many things. Until these days, politicians determine your life. For example, today in Kenya, we have the Republic of Kenya and the Republic of Luo, complete with a government, complete with the law enforcement, albeit jungle law. It's complete. If you be punished, you can be jalanged anytime, and you get back into line. That is the type of politics around there. That is the type of politics that has made me. That is the type of politics that I want to talk everywhere I go because it needs to change.
So what type of politics are you practicing?
I'm practicing the politics of changing bad politics.
Okay. So we need to define what is bad politics.
Absolutely.
What is bad politics?
I have just given you an example of bad politics. Politics in which the largely vulnerable, uninformed masses can be controlled into believing that their real enemy is actually their savior. And they go with him and go until such a time that it is too late to save anything. What do? I need to let...
cryptic, huh? Just
okay.
Speak. Say directly what you're saying. What are you saying? Because I'm not understanding. Yeah.
What I'm saying, I am a man who comes from Newland. I have realized there's politics in Newland which has created the Republic of Newland, complete with a government, with punishment system, complete with a president, complete with taxes, complete with everything.
Okay.
And how is this sustained? That is also a question that probably the people who have not studied the lines along which I have may want to ask me.
Who creates this? Who created this Republic of Luoland? And who's in government?
I have to come and tell you who is the president of the Republic of Luoland.
Yes.
The president of the Republic of Luoland is Raila Odinga. And the government there is the ODM government, complete with leadership.
Okay.
And I told you it is complete with enforcement and albeit jungle system. For example, there was a time when ODM had a chief executive called Magarel Langat. The day he was fired, they used their trademark jungle law. MCS came from the Nairobi County, went to his office in Milimani, frog marched him out, and he was fired. When Jalango offended the government of Luo Republic, he was Jalangoed in Manzoni. And I don't know whether he's got back online or is defiant. That is how it is done. When Tuju tried to create a parallel government in Luoland, they went and lit fire where his chopper would land, and he never went back again. That is how it operates. And this is one thing that other Kenyans need to see and observe.
Okay.
All business that run across Luoland have to pay taxes. There was a man who came there from America to start what he used to call Dominion Farms. He gave an interview to one of the media houses and said he used to pay taxes from time to time, but reached a day they wanted like 400 million. And he said, no, I would rather take off my investment and go and start afresh. And left 2,000 plus Luos jobless in the neighborhood.
You speak of these things as though they irritate you a little bit.
Of course they do.
They do.
Yes, I'm actually struggling to contain myself.
Okay. Did something in specific, of a specific nature happen to you that would make you speak from your experiences at where you used to work? What has made you then now speak of these things in this manner?
Naturally, the best teacher is experience. You can see things happen, but you don't pay much attention until they happen to you. I participated fully in the last general election, and I saw what really happens. In that republic called the Luo Republic, there are 137 wards. There are 27 constituencies. There are 4 counties. Each of those have several candidates. Those candidates must see the president of the Republic of Luoland way before the election appears. And he can accept to see you or not, but he always accepts to see them. The only person he ever refused to see was Chebukati when he went to his home. These people see him, and it is my belief that they must be seeing him to pledge loyalty, to entice him, to induce him to accept them. Because this is a republic where he determines who gets elected. Incidentally, after he has determined who gets elected from that republic called Luoland, he runs to the government of the day, seeks a handshake to determine who also gets employed from that region into that government. Let's go on what happened. Like everybody else, I went to see him. And after seeing him, generally he's a very vague man. He never says, I will do this. No. I will stand with you. We will support you. We will support you. I will stand with you. So that you don't pin him down to anything. Then comes the days towards election. He promises free and fair determination who carries the flag of the Luo government, ODM, into the national government elections. But time comes, he takes you to a room and reads for you the list and says, this constituency will be represented by so-and-so, this one by so-and-so, this one by so-and-so. These 3, I think we still need to try to see if they can go for Mchujo, as they call it. When you go there, you find a tablet that is connected to nowhere. It has nothing in it except some pre-installed data. Then later you are told that actually that tablet shows that so and so and so and so won. So he has a team from that region of people he has determined himself. But then he's never satisfied with that. He tries to seek to have a handshake with the winner, the government of the day. And then when he goes there, he sits there again and says, if you want to employ anybody from the Luo Republic, it has to be so and so, so and so, and not so and so. But I want to say here for the record, Raila Amolo Odinga has never ever wanted to be the president of Kenya, because if you become the president of Kenya, you have to account for their taxes. If you become the president of Kenya, you have to work for them and you have to be seen to be working better than anybody you ever defeated. You cannot try to be the president of a Republic of Kenya 6 times, and the last one with your opponent tied to one post of the goal, and you are given 12 feet to score, and you don't score, and you tell us you really, really wanted to be president. This idea of wanting to be president is the method that you use to keep the Luo in the very box you want them, so that they come and see you every time election is approaching.
Odoyo, let's
Yes,
go
sir.
back now to your personal experience.
Yes,
So you wanted to be an MP. And this is
Absolutely.
for Kasipul,
Kasipul, yes.
Kasipul constituency.
Yes,
At the point when you wanted to be MP,
Yes.
did you know all these things that you're telling us today? Did
No.
you know that there's a Republic of Luo? Did you know that there's a president and a leadership of Luo? Did you know that this leader is the one who has control of the systems and the voters in Luo? Did you know all these things?
I knew some of the facts, but I had not interpreted those facts until I had an experience. Experience is a beautiful teacher.
It teaches you a lot.
It teaches you a lot.
But you knew that, you needed the endorsement of Raila Odinga.
Definitely.
Why did you think you needed endorsement of Raila Odinga? He doesn't vote in Kasipul.
That is not how it is done. I had explained to you.
No, I want to understand, at the point when you are seeking
Yes.
to meet with Raila Odinga,
Yes.
and this is as you are thinking of expressing interest in Kasipul constituency.
Yes.
Why were you seeking it?
I was seeking is because, politics is local. Kenyan politics is local. So when the people tell you that, Owidi, you want to be the MP for Kasipul, what is your relationship with the Raila Odinga? And I said, oh, okay, that's the mandatory. Let me go and see him.
So it's the voter who is telling you that.
The voters all of them will tell you that, because they have been captured in what I was telling you, the attempt to seek for the presidency. When he's seeking for the president, he says us. So the Luo believe he's seeking the presidency on their behalf. The trophy will be their own. So anybody trying to interfere with this trophy is an enemy of the
He's an
Luo.
enemy of the people.
So the
people told you need to
yes.
speak to the main man. Did you believe it?
In fact, the Luo Republic, they will not ask you, what are you going to do for us? They will ask you, what is your relationship with Baba?
That's it.
As they call it. That's what they ask you.
Okay.
And they tell you,
What
we
was
will
your
support you as long as you will return with Baba's endorsement.
What was your relationship with him before you met him? Before this time, the voters?
I have had a long, long checkered relationship with him. I don't know if it will fit this. Because in history, in the year 2002, my elder brother was elected to parliament. And when he was elected to parliament, his first contact with the electorate in form of what he can do for them came when a man called Shemu Chuodo was fired from pipeline. He called a press conference to castigate Kibaki for firing a Luo Shemu Chuodo. When he went to the press conference, which he had informed his colleagues they were going to do, he discovered he was alone. He later discovered that those people were asked never to appear there, because believing that Shemu Chuodo was fired by President Kibaki was so wrong. It was fired by Right, his own man down here. So they collided with the president of the Luo Republic. It did not end there, because the Luo thought they have discovered somebody else who can face a sitting president and tell him off, even if he's sitting at a desk alone.
Mr. Owidi,
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to expound on this. You are saying that when Shemu Chuodo was sacked from his job at Kenya Pipeline,
Absolutely.
that the common belief was that it was the president of the day, Mwai Kibaki, who had sacked him.
Absolutely.
And you are saying it wasn't Mwai Kibaki.
No.
who else had the power of the presidency then other than Mwai Kibaki? Who had given him the job if not Mwai Kibaki?
Let's not use the word power. Who else had the influence to have him sacked?
Influence is power.
Yes, okay. I prefer to call it influence. I want to say here for the record, Raila Odinga influence is sacking. Because that evening when I sat with my brother, a call came from himself. And he took almost 30 minutes lecturing him about doing things without consulting. But my brother was hotter than me. So I knew from there on things are not going to be good. The next time came when there was a bit of ruckus of President Mwai Kibaki trying to explain who is his wife and who is not. So my brother went somewhere in Central Province and told him, Bwana, if you cannot take care of two wives, you cannot take care of the Republic of Kenya. I myself have 3 of them. They live in one house and they live in one estate and I'm doing well. To his shock, he was summoned to the CID. And he didn't believe it was Kibaki, but it was Kibaki's presidency. Because Kibaki was his friend. He's the one who was the engineer at Kibaki's house in Muthaiga when it was being built. So he didn't believe it. But when he was going to the CID as requested, I personally went to pick him from Parliament. And I found several MPs there. But when it was time to leave, he went alone. Only Ruben Dolo did go with him. Ruben Dolo has never been to Parliament again because he took him there. But as soon as he finished writing the statement, he gave another press conference right outside Milimani Road there. And the Luo land went into a frenzy. A new king is coming up. He was a marked man.
You know, when you talk about the power, let me use your word influence.
Yes.
In Luo Nyanza.
Yes.
I have to ask this question. At what point did this influence you speak of acquire this nefarious attribute? At what point did it become negative? Because Raila Odinga didn't come into politics yesterday.
Absolutely.
Or the day before.
Absolutely.
And was there any good that Raila Odinga was associated with that gave him this influence? Because the influence that we speak of, it seems to emanate from the support base he has from
Absolutely.
people. So it is influence that is given to him.
Absolutely.
So would you say that it is influence that has been earned, or is it influence that somehow he just managed to get?
Let me tell you, in the United States, there used to be a man called Steve Hassan. Steve Hassan formerly used to be an FBI agent, and he was in charge of investigating cults. In his book, which he wrote, Steve Hassan said, if you want to colonize and brainwash a people, show them a perennial enemy that you use to threaten them, and be their leader who stands between them and that perennial enemy. And also, the third pillar is promise them good life thereafter. This is what Raila Odinga has used in Newland. He has promised them good life when he becomes the president. He has shown them the government and president of the day as their enemy that only him can protect them from. And that is a way of keeping them in this cultic situation because they are largely uninformed. You will never find very informed people in a cult unless they are the leaders of that cult.
Mr. Owidi.
Yes, sir.
The support base of Luo Nyanza to Raila Odinga, as you say it, are predominantly of uninformed villagers who know no better than to sycophantly follow the man.
Absolutely.
Have I understood you be?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Now, again, if I look at the history of Luo Nyanza, because I happen to come from Luo Nyanza,
I know.
would you then say that, again, you know, there's a question I asked, and I'm going to repeat it, that this influence, okay, you quoted, well, the thinking behind cults and how they are formed, right? Did it begin as a cult, as you call it? Was there some substance to the position that Raila Odinga eventually got and has continued to have?
First of all, you need to know cults are formed through persistent lies, persistent misinformation, persistent promises that some of them only the promiser knows. So this thing you call, take for example, the Luo will attribute every good thing done in Luoland to Raila even if he has nothing to do with it. and every bad thing will be taken away from him. Take, for example, you go to Newland today, they will tell you Raila fought for multi-party. When I know he arrived here when Ford was already formed, the people who fought for it are seen in photos all over, and they did it. When he came here, Ford was already in place. And they attribute it to him without mentioning even these others. That is misinformation.
Actually, not quite, because before Raila, there was Jaramogi.
Yes.
And if you're talking about Ford, you would talk more of Jaramogi than you talk
Absolutely. But now they are forgotten Jaramogi, they are attributing it to Raila.
Well, father and son association.
Okay.
So there's that little,
Is that a little detail?
there's that little detail.
Let's take a break.
Yes.
Let's take a break. Odoyo Owidi
Yes,
is
sir.
a former chairman of the Lake Basin Development Authority. He's a politician. He's here in the studio. We're talking about the politics versus development and how those two mix when it comes to politics of the Nyanza region.
Spice. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We continue our conversation with Odoyo Owidi. He's the former chairman of the Lake Basin Development Authority, a politician from Kasipul in Homa Bay County. We were talking about Homa Bay the other day, the people of Homa Bay and what they have, Nyadi.
Whatever that means.
Oh, he knows very well what he
Yeah,
means.
you know.
Exactly what it means.
Who? Him?
You.
Oh, of course I do.
Yes.
You know, someone got in touch with me later and said, Nyadi is one word, but maybe you could
Positive
also
pride.
consider Mbi. What does Mbi mean?
B.
Mm.
B is in English oomph. Oomph. Can you describe oomph?
Like what? What's that? Charisma?
Gusto,
All those things.
Yeah.
A certain presence and being.
gravitas.
Yes.
Gravitas.
Gravitas is a good word.
And
Right.
a presence they cannot ignore.
Yes.
So what is it that they have? Is it Mbi or is it Nyati or is it
All-
both?
All of the above. And you can add a few
You
more.
cannot something else.
I'm an icon of that. So
It's
If there was
Mbi
a
plus
personification
Nyati plus everything.
And it is said in all humility.
Before we continue the conversation, please remind everybody about the month of February and the giving that Showmax is doing.
Showmax in a give in February. Whatever package you're going to pick up from Showmax, where you can watch series, documentaries, live sports news, all sorts of fantastic things. Whatever package you pick up on, Showmax will give you an extra month of it for free. From as low as 300 shillings, you can have all your entertainment on Showmax. And because it's that month,
Pay for
have
1
a month
month,
free.
get the other month free.
Yes.
Odoyo, we're talking about what you're calling the Republic of Luoland.
Yes.
Yeah? It's interesting you call it a republic, not a dictatorship, not a monarchy. That means it's participatory. People are willingly involved in it.
even if you were to call a devil angel, it will just still work. But know that the population of Newland is the same as of Denmark. So it is enough to form
A republic. Uh-huh. But the people,
There are 10 countries in Africa with populations less than Newland.
it's a full republic by
It's a
itself.
full republic, complete with everything.
So where people decide their destiny, where people govern themselves, where people decide their leaders. Okay? So when you're talking about, a leadership that is all those things that you're describing, this leadership led by Raila Odinga is, the people are the ones who've decided. And that city asked you that question. Is it the people who hoisted him, or did he impose himself on the people?
He used the ignorance of the people. Socrates warned us about this democracy we are talking about. Because if you come to my court, there are 29 children, 15 adults, and we have a hospital there, and we have a candy shop. If you tell them to vote between the candy shop and the hospital, which one should be retained, they will tell you the candy shop. So there's a leader who can exploit the ignorance of the people to lord over them, to exploit them.
No.
Yes, sir.
I have to ask, because what you say, if I were to believe it, then I would then have to extrapolate it with reference to the elections and the votes that Raila Odinga has gotten in this election and the previous one.
Yes.
They were not all from Luoland,
Absolutely.
and there were large numbers.
Absolutely.
So are we saying that this population that voted for him are the same as you're saying, been sucked into this cult, and they're all ignorant, and that they do not know what they're doing, and that Raila has influenced them? Is that what you're saying?
Let me tell you how this thing works. First of all, you start by whipping the Luo leadership into line, by taking over the people. So you don't have to discipline them. If they don't follow you, the people will. But once you have the 6 million Luos behind you, Kalonzo would likely want to be your partner because he stands to benefit from that in the future. Anybody else from any corner of Kenya would want to benefit from this largely Luo crowd you are carrying around. So Kalonzo will bring for you the 1 million plus Kamba vote and from elsewhere. And then
they're a bit more than that 1 million.
Absolutely.
For purposes of discussion.
It's even better now for my argument.
Yes.
So they bring, and you run up and get 6.9 million.
Okay.
And you feel you have taken Kenya and you are the next most popular.
What has made you arrive at this? I believe it's beyond thesis now. What has made you arrive at this? Was there a particular event that you now said, no, this is it? Or has it always been your thought that this is how things actually work here? Or were you one of the members of the cult previously?
What I'm giving you is analysis of the data. It is the data I have had. You know, there was a story I was telling you, then I had cut it short somewhere because Muga asked me some questions and I left it at that. But I would have wanted to tell you how the difference between me and Raila Odinga came. And that is good for me because it made me look at him critically. It is like a bad girl your mother has been telling you, wachana na huyu na unakata. Na ile siku umeenda ndio unaanza kumkagua, uone, ay, kumbe these things I wasn't seeing. Something was blinding me. There are times when your personal interest can blind you from seeing very bad things. My personal interest to get elected made me not see things the right way. Okay. I am seeing them clearly.
Yeah, no.
And I have facts, figures, dates, and logic to defend them.
If you had won the election, would you still see things this clearly?
There was no election to win. I've never been voted anywhere because Raila Odinga must stop me. Because first of all, one thing you need to know about him, anybody who has the charisma, who has the boldness to talk in a way the Luo will jump up and down and clap, will not get anywhere. That is why I really wanted to tell you the story of my late brother Peter Owidi and how he had to get out of the scene and get out forever.
You know, the question that Ndu is asking, I have to ask it in a different way.
Absolutely, I'm here.
You see, if you get into a political process and the norms are as clear as you now say, and you want to be part and parcel of that process, and you don't understand that process well enough to be able to participate in a way that benefits you, who is to blame? You who didn't understand the process, or the person who is in charge of that process?
I think at this level, I don't want to blame anybody, but I want to get rid of this bad process that usurps the people's power to elect leaders of their choice and takes this power and gives somebody who has taken this power by ways of telling lies only.
You know, Eric, I like this man. I like the way he thinks. I ask him a question, he asks himself his own question, and then proceeds to answer his question. Very good. When he describes himself as a politician,
again.
When he asks, I believe you, you are indeed a politician.
Absolutely.
And well done. Thank you. Now let me ask you again.
Yes.
This would be now number 3.
You know the thing with a politician, sometimes he avoids your question to tell you what he wanted you to know.
That I have gotten completely and I have understood. But you see, there's a reason why I'm saying what I am saying. If you look at the politics of what you're referring to as the Luo Republic,
Yes.
There've always been some leader who seems to be head and shoulders above the others, but there've been other leaders almost at that same level at any given point in time. Okay? Now, there are those who argue that the Luo nation are a debating society. That if you look at their culture, they are people who need convincing. You have to talk to them. They have to hear you and they have to believe and understand
Exactly.
it. If they don't, then you will be dismissed. Okay? Now, if there is a language someone is using to propel his agenda and you can see it working, and you choose to follow a different narrative that is different from his, which has proved to be successful, and then you fail, again, do you blame that person for having a narrative which is successful and for you not having a narrative that doesn't work in your favor?
Absolutely. Let me tell you how it works in Luo Republic.
Okay, now wait for the question to be rephrased and to be re-answered.
Yes.
Go on.
I normally like helping people. Muga, what happens in Newland, you don't get a chance to sell to the locals that narrative. I told you what they did to Tojo. they don't want you to talk to those people directly and tell them that. You will find goons waiting there with stones, rungus, and everything. The only time they will allow you probably to talk is because of you're in the safety of SpiceFM room, situation room. That is when you will talk. But I have told you, I promised before, probably you will now begin to follow me from social media and everywhere. I have told them, when it is going to go back to the land of the Luo, we are going to meet head to head, unyo kwa unyo, rungu for rungu, stone for stone, so that the truth can be known. Sometimes when you are not allowed space to say the truth, fight for that space and begin saying the truth. So when you are telling me who is to blame when I'm not telling them what they want to hear, first of all, I'm fighting for the space to tell them what they ought to hear.
So they haven't heard.
They haven't heard.
You know, my point still...
And then, you know, our argument here is too academic for them.
Owidi is using a position which he has described and which he has given legs and arms and given motion. And from the way he has described it, it is a hopeless situation.
Yes.
And yet, if I look at the republic he speaks of, there are people who have been elected on parties other than ODM. When that
Absolutely.
So what does it tell you? These people he refers to who have been mesmerized and who have been corralled into thinking the same way, clearly they're exceptions. And I'm sure he'll tell me, there are always exceptions to the rule. But that's all you need.
Why are you asking a question where answer you have?
So his own brother was an exception.
Take a bag of beans and throw it into the ocean and come back with your bag. You'll find 2 beans are in there. There will always be 2 exceptions, 1 among a million, and so on. So when you tell me some people walipita katikati, that's natural. No. That's the law of natural things.
I want to think differently. I want to say that perhaps these are people who understood these very same people who vote better than you did. And they did something that the people resonated with. Yes, they supported Baba. They supported ODM. But they were able to distinguish and say, this individual, yes, we support Baba and everything else, but this individual serves our interest.
If there is a formula that works like that, Ulago would not be out of parliament today in Kisumu West because he had gone in another party, even in fact twice. What changed? What changed? What changed is because the situation is different. Situation from one constituency to the next is different. But we judge society by what is dominant. You can't get 100% of what you want in a natural system created by God. No. Even in the driest land, there would a leaf of blade growing.
You know, Mr. Owidi,
yes, sir.
I'm listening to you, and I don't seem to see the difference between what Raila Odinga purportedly is doing and what you are now doing. I don't see the difference.
Which is what?
I don't see the difference, okay?
What is he doing and what am I doing?
He claims Raila Odinga has this narrative which has captured the Luos, and he himself and others who are like-minded are seeking to liberate the Luos. And that is the very narrative he said that Raila Odinga has, and which narrative he has used to captivate the Luos and hold them hostage in this cult called the Luo Republic.
So he wants the people.
So what's the difference?
No. Yes. Muga, let's take it from here.
Well, I mean, where's the difference?
I explained to you how you build a cult. You create for them an external enemy. Even in your house, when you have beaten everyone and everybody is not talking to anyone, when war comes from outside, thugs are trying to break in. The very mama you slapped is now on your back bringing for you rungus. Raila is trying to create a war outside Newland so that the Newland rally behind him as their brother. When my brother finds me fighting, he will join the fight on my side. When the fight is over, is when he'll come back and say, what really happened? Moses did that in Egypt those days without asking. So when Raila is pitted against William Ruto, the Luo will back him. It is the Luo he wants back, because when Ruto recently went to Nyanza, the Luos embraced him and he couldn't stand it. So now he wants them back. What does he do? He starts a fight. And when there's a fight, you join your brother and fight on his side.
Okay.
And there's
so
love.
According to you, he's doing that, and all of this is being done not necessarily because he wants to be president.
No.
But he's looking for influence, power.
Yes. He
outside
wants
of the
keep
presidency.
the Luo in the same. He is the president of the Luo Republic, where he doesn't pay taxes, he doesn't do any development. But if he becomes the president of Kenya, he will have to account for the 3 trillion budget. That is what we mean.
It sounds like you're starting a rebellion from inside. And for you to succeed, you need an enemy.
Yes. That's what I'm telling you. He's doing exactly.
And the
what
enemy
he says
has
Raila's
got to be the
doing.
biggest person.
I need to explain to you,
area.
if you have an enemy within, it doesn't work. The enemy must be outside. Let me tell you, when the rating of an American president goes down, most likely they start an external war outside America. When the rating of an Israeli prime minister goes down, they really bash the Palestinians. That is how it works. Create for them an
Those
enemy
who
from
start-
outside.
those
Let me
who
tell you
start
even how
revolutions.
religion works.
Those who start revolutions fight the status quo.
Yes.
Yes.
Those who start revolutions will always go for the strongest person or the strongest entity in this status quo, and they go for it.
For me, I'm not even in any revolution.
And now
I just
here
want
you
to
are.
let people know the truth.
That's it.
But that's what
You want to
revolutionaries
liberate
say.
the people, to
That's
let
what
people know the
revolutionaries
truth.
Say.
That is what they say.
Yes, it's what
Okay.
Raila used to say. It's what he still says. It's what William Ruto says. It's what politicians
Okay,
say.
you know them now.
Yes. They are always liberating us from something we don't need to be liberated from.
So what we're saying is essentially, sir, is
Yeah,
that you have now joined the long line of would-be liberators, and you are one of them. That is your politics.
You see, these liberators you're talking about, they are liberating these people from an external enemy. I am right here within Newland telling them that the person you think is solving your problems actually is the creation of your problems. Today, there is no serious business in Kisumu you can go to find employment. They have been fleeced to extinction and they have disappeared.
Mr. Owidi,
Yes, sir.
from the time 1967 when Jaramogi had an altercation with,
Kenyatta.
yes, would you say Luo land was marginalized, or did business just go on as usual and the Luos imagined that they were marginalized?
I imagine the script that Jaramogi used in 1967 is similar to what the Sun is. You see,
My question is a simple one. Was Luo land marginalized or was it not marginalized?
I was born in 1968, honestly. Would I really?
I was born 10 years before you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is, if you, let's bring it down now to this current. Is there any day that or any week where you do not hear either the president or his deputy talk about Raila in one way or the other? I'm getting to a point here. The popularity you seem to say Raila has, and which you blame to his abilities to form cults. Every sitting government in this nation has more than anything else helped propel him to that position. Because every government will have faults. There'll be poor people who need someone who they believe is representing them. When you demonize that person, what you do is you make him more popular.
Let me tell you what he's done perfectly. He knows the formula I gave you. Raila will never get into any contest without demonizing somebody, and even the people he demonizes. After he has finished with demonizing them and got what he wants, they become his friends. He begins to demonize a new person. And this is a formula he uses to perfection.
Is that any strange? I mean, you're a politician. That's all you politicians do. When you wanted to campaign, how would you have campaigned? You'd have campaigned by showing how the incumbent MP has not performed and how you are the one who's going to be a savior. It's the same thing you're talking about now. The others who have also, just like Ndu was saying, the others who have attempted to take on Raila in Luo Nyanza, because you're not the first, have done the same thing.
Let me
They've
get
tried to show a
I need to-
difference. I mean, this is how different it would be if not all of us were listening to Baba.
I need to explain to you the difference. And I want to see external and internal. Raila Odinga takes on an external enemy to control the Luo in here. I take on Raila Odinga in here. We are both in.
Yes.
I am the son of Luo, he's the son of Luo. Him, he takes on a non-son of Luo to keep the Luo in his box.
And that's
But
the
your
difference.
end is, at the end of the day, the goal is the same.
But you cannot achieve internal cohesion by taking an internal enemy. You achieve internal cohesion by taking on an external enemy.
So
Get
what-
the two.
So what are you seeking?
So what do you want?
By going into this with an internal enemy, what are you seeking?
I am seeking to let the people know that your problem is right here with you. It is not out there with Ruto.
And then
It is
what?
right here.
And then what?
You have a leader here. The exams were out. He has never talked anything education or exams since it came out. And he claims to be your leader interested in you. Here is a leader who sends away an investor who has brought thousands of jobs, and he cheats you that he is working for you. Here is a leader who chooses for you the worst leadership in the Republic and you believe he's working for you. Here is a leader who fires people by violence when he has pen and paper to write for them letters. Here is a leader who fights a leader you chose just the other day and uses goons all the way in Manzoni, transported from Nairobi to go and wait for him there. And when it fails, he sends his bodyguard himself, tell that guy to go out. Does he respect the people of Langata who elected that man? Here is a leader who tells you the government of the Republic of Kenya is your enemy, you cannot go to State House.
So
and
you want the people to choose a new leader?
They need to think of a new leader. In any case, if you are a farmer, you cannot go for an old bull. You take a young one for the future.
Do you propose anybody?
I propose myself.
Good. But then think about talking about leadership, surely, and if everything you say is true, then the said leader you mentioned who comes from Langata, was it him who was voted for or was the party voted for? And he just happens to be in the party.
Come again?
The leader of Langata, the one who was demonized and hounded by goons.
Did people vote for Jalang or did they vote for ODM?
Yes, simple.
That's a good question. I told you, Raila Odinga has captured the Luo, so he tells them who to vote for. And if you are in his defense, you must now demystify this fact that he tells you they were elected, when it's actually the one who appointed him to be elected, because he has captured these people.
Have you considered that?
Do you know sometimes when you want to liberate cult members, they think you are offending them because they don't know they are captured in a cult. They don't know they are in jail because some of them are born right there in jail.
Odoyo.
Yes, sir.
Time is up. But thank you for joining us today. You'll come again. Odoyo Owidi is a politician. He says he's a liberator in the Republic of Luo. He's a former chairman of the Lake Basin Development Authority. And I didn't ask you, do you think Raila had a hand in your appointment as chairman of the Lake Basin Development Authority?
That's a good question.
Yes, no.
President Uhuru Kenyatta appointed me.
And Raila had no hand in it.
I had just to pledge loyalty because I know he had influence to go and revoke it.
Okay.